My dad was a pastor, and so I grew up in the church, grew up living in parsonages and moving around on the itinerant circle from church to church. And so a part of my growing up was seeing people come to know Christ. And so many times my dad would just bring people to the house, people who always didn't smell like we smelled, or people who didn't look like we looked, but we knew to embrace and love everyone. And so part of my childhood and growing up into adulthood was seeing people come to know the Lord. Never did I think about the perspective of watching someone who knew the Lord fall away from the Lord. And that's what happened to me in my marriage. I married a man who knew the Lord, who was walking with the Lord, who was preaching the word, who was mentoring others to know the Lord. And then somehow, right in front of me, without me seeing it or knowing it was happening, he walked away from the Lord. And the day I found out was the day he told me that our marriage was over and that I needed to be able to be single again. What do? You're sitting in Uganda and this has just been spoken to you by the one person who's supposed to be your best friend. I chose to call my pastor, and we went from there. And that's when the story got just a little scary at times, very frustrating and lonely. I would be at the house in the dark, and I would pray, Lord, please just turn the lights on, and they literally would come on. And I don't know why I was amazed that the Lord was actually answering my prayers, but I was amazed. Then I started realizing the Lord is going to get me through this. I cannot do this alone. I don't have what it takes, but the Lord does. And for my third year in Uganda, I experienced the Lord protecting me, literally from an instance where protecting me from an attack from another person. The Lord was providing for me in ways I cannot explain other than miracles were happening in my bank account. I mean, not huge ones, but He was providing for me in ways that I could not explain. And what kept me through and what gave me the most strength was knowing that He was keeping His promise. He promised not to forsake me. He promised not to leave me in a dry and barren land. And He wasn't. He was with me the whole time. And He allowed me to experience walking alongside of Him. It wasn't me walking and recognizing that the footsteps were behind me. It was He was literally holding my hand as I was walking every day, because every day was a new trial, and every day He kept me going. If any of you are walking through a really hard trial right now, I would say know that you don't have to do it alone. Cry out for help from the Lord and from those of us here who are wanting to be in community with you, who are wanting to share life with you. I am Amanda Smith, and this is my road to redemption.